Welcome to Revenge Chronicles. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Revenge Chronicles. Whether you're a long-time subscriber or discovering us for the first time, you're about to hear a story that will shake you to your core. Today's account comes from a mother whose professional expertise became her greatest weapon when family loyalty collided with an unthinkable betrayal. Some secrets are too dark to stay buried, and some people will go to extraordinary lengths to protect the innocent. Let's dive in. My name is Sarah, and I've been a licensed clinical social worker for 23 years. I've seen things that would make most people lose faith in humanity. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what I discovered about my own daughter. It started on a Tuesday morning in October. My grandson Jake, who's 7, came to school with bruises on his wrists that his teacher couldn't ignore. As the mandated reporter she was required to be, Mrs. Peterson called Child Protective Services. What she didn't know was that the case would land on my desk at the county office. I stared at the file in disbelief. My daughter Emma's name stared back at me from the incident report. My hands shook as I read the details. Jake had told his teacher that Mummy gets really mad when she drinks the grown-up juice. He demonstrated how she grabbed him when she was angry, leaving those telltale finger-shaped bruises. The professional in me knew exactly what I was looking at. The mother in me wanted to vomit. I immediately disclosed the conflict of interest to my supervisor and recused myself from the case. But that didn't stop me from using every resource at my disposal to uncover the truth. 23 years of building relationships with teachers, counselors, and other social workers meant I had eyes and ears everywhere. What I learned over the next 2 weeks destroyed every illusion I'd held about my daughter. Emma had been systematically abusing both Jake and his 4-year-old sister Lily for months. The drinking had escalated after her divorce, but instead of seeking help, she'd turned her children into emotional and physical punching bags. Neighbors reported hearing screaming and crying at all hours. The kid's pediatrician had documented unexplained injuries over 6 months that Emma had explained away with elaborate lies. The breaking point came when I visited unannounced on a Saturday morning. Emma answered the door, clearly hungover, her breath reeking of vodka at 10 a.m. Behind her, I could see Lily cowering in the corner, and Jake had a fresh black eye. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Emma slurred, trying to block my view. "We need to talk," I said, pushing past her into the living room. The house was a disaster. Empty bottles everywhere. The children looked malnourished and terrified. This wasn't the daughter I'd raised. This was a monster wearing her face. "Jake, Lily, come here," I said softly, kneeling down to their level. "Don't you dare," Emma snapped. "These are my kids. You have no right." I looked up at her with 23 years of professional authority behind my voice. "Actually, Emma, I have every right. And more importantly, I have the knowledge and connections to make sure you never hurt them again." Over the next hour, I documented everything with my phone. Photos of the children's injuries, the living conditions, Emma's clearly intoxicated state. I recorded her admitting to hitting them when she was stressed. Every piece of evidence was meticulously catalogued with the precision that had made me one of the county's most respected investigators. Emma tried everything. Tears, anger, manipulation. "You're supposed to be my mother. You're supposed to support me." "I am being your mother," I replied calmly. "I'm stopping you from destroying the most precious things in your life before it's too late for all of you." If you're finding this story as powerful as I am, please consider subscribing to Revenge Chronicles. We share stories of justice and truth that need to be heard. The next Monday, I presented my findings to the assigned caseworker, a young woman named Jennifer who I'd mentored for 2 years. I'd trained her well. She knew how to build an airtight case. "Sarah, this is incredibly thorough," Jennifer said, reviewing my documentation. "With your testimony and this evidence, we can move for immediate removal." "There's more," I told her. I'd spent the weekend interviewing Jake's teacher, Lily's daycare provider, and 3 neighbors. All had witnessed signs of abuse but hadn't known how to report it effectively. I'd given them that knowledge. The court hearing was swift and decisive. Emma arrived with a public defender who looked overwhelmed before the proceedings even began. I sat in the witness section, watching my daughter realize that her mother's professional expertise was about to end her reign of terror. When the judge asked for my professional opinion, I stood up and delivered the most important testimony of my career. "Your Honor, I've worked in child protection for over 2 decades. I've seen thousands of cases. The pattern of escalating physical abuse, combined with substance dependency and the children's documented trauma responses, indicates an immediate and ongoing threat to their safety. In my professional opinion, these children require immediate protective custody. Emma's lawyer tried to object. Your Honor, this witness has a clear conflict of interest. The judge looked at me with respect I'd earned through years of protecting other people's children. Counselor, this witness has recused herself from the official investigation specifically because of that conflict. Her testimony is being offered as a professional expert, not as a family member. I'll allow it. Emma stared at me across the courtroom with pure hatred. For a moment, I saw not my daughter, but every abusive parent I'd helped prosecute over the years. The judge awarded me emergency custody of both children that day. As we left the courthouse, Emma screamed at me in the parking lot. You destroyed my family. You're supposed to love me unconditionally. I stopped walking and turned to face her. Emma, I love you enough to stop you from becoming someone you can't come back from. But I love those children more than I love your feelings. That night, Jake asked me why his mommy hurt him. 23 years of training kicked in. I knelt down to his level, looked him in the eyes and said, sometimes grown-ups make very bad choices when they are sick. But you and Lily are safe now. That's my job and I'm very good at my job. The next 6 months were a whirlwind of court dates, therapy sessions, and rebuilding broken little lives. Emma was ordered into intensive rehabilitation and parenting classes. She'd have supervised visitation only after completing a year-long program. I used every connection I'd built over my career to ensure my grandchildren received the best trauma counseling available. Dr. Martinez, who I'd worked with on dozens of cases, took them on immediately. Within 3 months, the children were sleeping through the night and laughing again. Emma completed rehabilitation after 8 months. She attended every parenting class, every therapy session. She got sober and stayed sober. But the damage was done. The courts agreed that I would retain custody, with Emma earning the right to supervised visits that gradually increased to overnight stays. A year later, Emma came to me with tears in her eyes. Mom, I need you to know something. You saved all of us. I was going to kill one of them eventually. I was so angry all the time and they were so small and helpless. You stopped me from becoming a murderer. Today, 3 years later, Jake and Lily live with me full-time. Emma sees them every weekend, but always with boundaries firmly in place. She's sober, she's in therapy, and she's working to rebuild the trust she shattered. The children are thriving. Jake is excelling in school and plays soccer. Lily is in preschool and loves to paint. They call me Grandma Sarah, and they know their mommy is still learning how to be a safe person. Last week, Jake asked me, Grandma Sarah, why did you help us when mommy was being mean? I told him the truth, because protecting children is what I do, sweetheart. And you and Lily are the most important children I'll ever protect. Sometimes people ask me if I regret turning in my own daughter. The answer is simple, I regret that it took me so long to see what was happening. But I'll never regret using everything I'd learned in my career to save those babies. My daughter may have given birth to Jake and Lily, but I gave them their childhood back. And in the end, that's the only revenge that matters. Thank you for watching this episode of Revenge Chronicles. Stories like Sarah's remind us that sometimes the greatest act of love requires the hardest choices. If you know someone facing a similar situation, remember that help is available. Please like this video if Sarah's courage inspired you, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of justice and truth. Until next time, remember, the truth always finds a way.